How can I stop letting the behaviors of others make me so upset? I received that question in my Facebook group and I want to attempt to answer it today. But first, for those watching the video version of this podcast, you're viewing footage from the third person point of view using my Google Pixel 7 Pro phone, and from the first point of view using my new Insta360 Go S3. One of my goals is to get better at video making and story sharing as I transition into my next phase of life of becoming a digital nomad. None of this is sponsored by Google or Insta. I bought both on my own. And if you'd like to get your own Insta360 Go S3, please use my affiliate link in the show notes to support me and this show. Thank you. You are so very appreciated. Hello, my name is Clemenza Freitas, and I am a spiritual life coach and vibroacoustic sound energy healer. But first and foremost, I am my 95-year-old auntie's full-time caregiver after I closed my 20 years fitness business at the beginning of the worldwide pandemic. I continued with online fitness for a year, but my heart had always wanted to help people with the most important first step, which is spiritual and emotional health. Without confidence in these areas, it's a mental roller coaster trying to create healthy habits. I got my life coaching certification back in 2010, wanting to marry fitness and mindset, but in 2018, I joined a 3-year healing school, realizing the puzzle is still incomplete without spiritual health. While I no longer work with clients on physical health and fitness, it is an important part of my life that you'll see often in these video vlogs. Okay, so on to my tips for this inquiry in my Facebook group saying, I would like to know how I can stop letting the behaviors of someone make me so upset. I first want to say that I am not Zen all of the time. As long as our soul is still here on Earth School, there are still many lessons to master and triggers to heal. So please, don't come at me saying that I can't give advice on this because I still get upset. I can only tell you what I've done to get upset way less than I used to. First, I remind myself that emotions aren't a curse, nor having them is a sin. I grew up in an era where showing feelings were deemed as a sign of weakness, even feminine or associated with women. And when I transitioned from Catholicism to Christianity, I was taught that emotions deceive and can't be trusted. But I've found that giving myself acceptance instead of judgment for how I feel softens me to slow down and reflect on why I allowed myself to get upset and respond in the way that I did. Denying emotions, sweeping them under the rug so that I can be perceived as strong, denies me the opportunity for reflection. Second, I remind myself that this situation is all a part of my soul's greater plan and soul contract with the other person whom I'm upset with. When I remember that I am in Earth School or a giant virtual reality video game that my soul is playing, I begin to see that these situations are orchestrated to evolve me into my next phase of enlightenment. But the trick is to bypass the ego's victim mindset, which believes everyone and everything is out to get us or harm us. It's the ego's job to keep us safe, constantly scanning for signs of danger. But since we no longer live in caves fighting off bears to survive, it instead remembers pain from our past and makes us defensive to similar situations in the future. Reminding the ego that this is happening for me, not to me, helps it relax, puts down its shield, and takes me off fight or flight mode. When I'm feeling like a victim or a target to someone else's behavior, then my energy gets redirected towards fighting or fleeing instead of observing and learning here on Earth School. The third thing that helps me is to be neutral, meaning to be in a position of non-judgment. The ego has to judge in order to scan for danger. But If I'm not in judgment of the other person's actions or words, then I can take the position of a neutral observer in loving awareness of what is showing up for me in this situation. When I'm not judging something as wrong or right, good or bad, evil or saintly, then I can observe without absorbing the other person's energy. As the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. And if the other person is operating on the frequency of hurt and pain, then that's what they're giving out into the world. And while my ego is judging to decipher between good and evil, I emotionally get pulled into their energy field, preparing to be on guard for a fight or a flight. But as a neutral observer, I can just watch without getting sucked in. As a coach, this helps me a ton because I don't have to pick up other people's energy or carry their pain or anger for them. I can allow them to be in their feelings as I give my clients safe, sacred space to feel in order to heal. And these emotions, they end up being the catalyst for their change. When given the space to observe emotions, the message that these feelings can bring may lead to enlightenment. And I can be a loving, compassionate observer without joining you in your anger, your hurt, or your pain. My clients can only be an observer of their anger, hurt, and pain if they nor I are judging the emotion as good or bad, wrong or right, weak or strong. So at this point, you're probably asking, how do I become a neutral observer with loving awareness of what is happening without judging? Here's what made it easier for me to become loving awareness. Number one, I had to unsubscribe from organizations and systems that told me not to judge, but then they taught me to judge. You know that saying that kids learn from what you do, not what you say? Well, it's the same with us. Although many of the teachings I learned felt like the vibration of love, contradictory, many of them also felt like anger, fear, judgment, and separation. It took many years of programming to become judgmental, and it took me many years of distance from these establishments to observe with a wider lens how being controlled by judgment and fighting further separates us from one another. We are told that we are all one, united in one divine creator, but we are also taught that we are superior to others, which creates separation and prejudice. Number two, I had to learn to breathe deeply and slow down. This loosened up my chest, which felt like a protective shield coming off. And taking deep breaths softens the tightness of my body like armor falling off to open me up, allowing the gift of this experience instead of fighting and resisting it. Saying to my ego or telling my ego that I'm safe while I breathe helps take down its defenses. Number three, I learned different methods of meditation that I can use for different times and needs in my life. Meditation is so important. It's like the gym for my mind. It's how my soul can exercise the practice of taking dominion over my thoughts so that they don't control me with their stories and narratives created by my past to dictate my future. I've learned to discipline my mind by being still and closing my eyes to shut off the world, engaging with my thoughts until they yield to me instead of them taking captive of my life. But also breath work, light language or praying in tongues, sound vibration therapy, journaling, abstract art and art therapy, somatic exercise, somatic dance, yoga, walking in the woods or on the beach or floating alone in the water. All of these has led me back to myself. Number four, I had to stop judging my own self in order to stop judging others. These standards we try to live up to, these expectations we work hard to uphold, are not even our own. They were handed down to us through generations and through the systems and societies we've built. But most of us are too afraid to be alone in order to know thyself. Without codependencies on others, we can hear from our own higher selves and be guided by the Spirit. We can know the truth because the truth lives within us. Instead of judging and comparing our lives to others, we can learn to have unconditional love and acceptance of ourselves because we first gave it to ourselves. A client of mine recently told me that she first learned to accept how she is and who she is because of her partner who did it for her first. And while this is a great example of how soul contracts work with other people to create experiences that we need in order to learn important lessons, we also must be careful not to make others our source of strength and happiness. When this happens, we forget the God source that dwells within us, seeking for self-worth and joy and love through others, putting us back into toxic codependent cycles of judgment, motivating us to be good enough, to earn love, to be accepted, included, or to earn the keys into heaven. Lastly, I leave you this very important yet very hard lesson I learned in a codependent relationship where I needed others to feel worthy, whole, and complete. I inadvertently also gave them the power to make me feel inadequate, unhappy, and angry. I forget my sovereign power and the gift of free will when I hand over my control of emotions to others. Once I got quiet, spent a lot of time by myself, became my own best friend in full acceptance and not judgment, I realized that I don't need others to accept or approve or consider me. I stepped into my power, allowing people to have their own stories, narratives, and emotions without needing to join them in theirs, or the need to control or judge or want them to do it differently. How someone feels about me is none of my business. If my interactions with them came from a place of integrity, open, honest, transparent communication, then their emotions and their actions are for themselves to observe and gain awareness from. Stepping into my power means that I allow people to be how they want to be, and unless I join them in their frequency, it won't affect or bother me. Again, I'm not perfect. I discover unhealed triggers all the time as I go along interacting with people through life. Although hard and uncomfortable, I'm grateful for all of these experiences and for the power and the ability to detach so that I can self-reflect. If what I've shared with you resonates, head to my website, slayandshine.com to purchase my ebook Awaken Within for $11, or book an in-person or online spiritual energy coaching session. And please do support this channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Oh, and yes, don't forget the Insta360 Go S3 camera affiliate link in the show notes for your own creative video scenes. Maraming salamat po. Thank you for being here. Until next time, shine through your soul and slay through life. I wish you love, joy, and so much peace.